Hi there, I'm Karen from karenprince.com, and for several years now I've been using Screenflow to create video tutorials to teach authors how to use their writing software and design book covers. For this video, I'm going to assume that you have already installed Screenflow and want to learn how to use it. Please bear in mind that this is an excerpt from a full video course showing instructors how to create courses on Udemy, so there may be references to Udemy rules or advanced topics not covered here. If you end up wanting to take the full course, there's a link in the description below, but this video by itself will get you well on your way. So let's jump right in and launch Screenflow and see what you can do with it. I always launch Screenflow from the dock, but if you don't have the Screenflow icon in your dock, just select the spotlight icon in the top right-hand corner of your screen and search for Screenflow. Hit enter and Screenflow will launch. Straight away you get the settings dialog box as well as a new video icon in your menu at the top here, which is a quick access menu. Mine has a dot in it to show that I'm recording. If you have icons on your desktop that you don't want to show in your screencast, you can choose Hide Desktop Icons from the drop-down menu. By the way, don't forget to close any apps like Facebook that may spoil your screencast by interrupting with a notification. From the dialog box, you can either configure the settings for a new recording and then hit record, open a new document, or navigate to a recent document. If you want to record your desktop, place a check here. And if you have more than one monitor connected, they will show up in this drop-down menu where you'll be able to select which one you want to record. I only have the one connected. I know people who have huge monitors for gaming, and if that's you, I don't advise recording from a monitor that's bigger than 1920 by 1080 because your recording might look a little distorted or stretched. Then you can record your screen from another device like an iPhone or an iPad if you have one connected. To do this, your Mac operating system must be OS X Yosemite version 10.10 or later, and you need iOS 8 or later installed on your device. Older versions with the 30-pin connector port will not be supported. Connect your iOS device to your computer using the Lightning to USB charging cable that came with it. Then you should be able to see your device as an option in the Record Screen From box. If you don't see it, make sure you have enabled your device to trust your computer, and you may have to adjust some settings on your phone or iPad to do this. If you have Screenflow 6, this will record the sound from your device as well. In the Quick Access menu, choose Show Recording Monitor. Place something on your device that includes sound, and you'll be able to hear it on your computer as well as adjust the volume in the recording monitor box. Some of you might also have your device set to launch photos every time it connects to your computer, which can be very annoying. To disable it, open Photos on your computer. At the top, select the Import tab. Next to the name of your device in the top left-hand corner, you'll see Open Photos for this device. Uncheck that box. But now you're going to have to open the Photos app manually every time you want to manage your pictures on your phone or iPad. Back in the new Recording tab, hit Record. You won't see the screen of your mobile device while it records, so just focus on what you're doing on the device. When you're done, stop record and choose where you want your new recording to go. Here, you can choose to take a simultaneous screen recording of your face from your built-in webcam, or you can record video from a connected camera or webcam. Although some Talking Heads video is recommended by Udemy, they don't insist upon it. But please don't be put off doing it because you don't like the way you look. If you have the perfect solution to your student's problem, they don't care what you look like as long as you aren't sloppy. You can change the format here if you need to. I'll leave mine at the highest resolution Screenflow offers for this so that I can get the best quality possible when played back on a high resolution device. Here in the Record Audio From field, if you don't have an external microphone, you can record from the built-in microphone on your Mac. This is okay for a fun YouTube video, but if you're going to invest any money at all on making your courses, I highly recommend starting with a decent microphone for video tutorials. I have a nice USB microphone, so I would choose that. If you want to record whatever sound is coming from your computer at the same time, place a check inside this box. If you've upgraded to Screenflow 6, you can do a partial screen capture. Click on this region selection icon to get a transparent section of your screen with a marquee around it that marks the area of your screen that you're going to record. You can relocate this region by holding it in the center and moving it to where you want it. You can resize it by dragging any of the corners. I'm afraid you can't lock the aspect ratio even if you hold down Shift. Notice that you get a small box showing your pixel size as you resize. You can also drag any of the edges in and out. If you have a specific item or tab on your screen that you want to capture, grab your region marker in the middle and hold down your spacebar. When you let go, the marker will snap to your item. You can choose a preset size to record or enter your preferences for a specific size. This is handy for those of you who are filming on a laptop that has screen dimensions set at a ratio of 16:10. HD video needs to be captured at a ratio of 16:9. So, to make my 16:10 ratio screen here fit into the 16:9 format, I would have to let it fit horizontally and chop off some of the top or the bottom, or let it fit vertically and have black spaces on either side. Now you can take the guesswork out of how much you need to chop off by choosing a 16:9 ratio that suits you. In this case, I'll fit to the horizontal dimension of 1920, which goes with 1080 to make up an aspect ratio of 16:9. Now I can place my region box exactly where I want it. There is an advanced setting tab where you can set your frame rate. For a normal screencast, leave this at automatic, or you could set it to 30 frames per second for a nice fluid motion. If you have only slides which change every couple of seconds, you can set this lower. These settings are for setting a timer and are self-explanatory. Once that's all set up, you hit record. Record what you want, and as soon as you hit stop, your project will open up on your desktop with your recording inside ready to edit. Open a new document creates a blank template for you to start from without recording your screen. You can choose a preset size here or enter your preferences below. The default format preset for a computer screen is 720p high definition at a width of 1280 and a height of 720 pixels, which is very manageable to work with and perfect for Udemy. Then you have some other presets to choose from if you're screencasting from a different device. But I actually prefer to work in this 1080p high definition for video tutorials, even though it might slow down my work process because of the file sizes. The reason for this is, firstly, I jump in and out of screencasting a lot, and I will show you how this affects you when we get inside. Then, I screencast a lot of technical stuff that needs to be in high definition and preferably 1080p to be followed properly. I also have a large computer with loads of processing power. Your setup may be different, and you will have to adjust your working methods accordingly. For instance, if you're screencasting simple slides on a 15-inch laptop, 720p high definition is just fine. After you've recorded something, the next time you open the project, the Screenflow editing window will open with your recording in the timeline. You can view it in the Canvas or Preview window, and most of your editing will be done up here in the Properties tabs, which have all the controls for adapting each of your clips. To record some more, open the Quick Access menu and choose Record. Wait for the countdown, and then wait a moment before beginning the action so that you have a little leeway in case you want to add a transition here. Also, whenever possible, start with your cursor off screen so that if you want to join two clips later on, you won't see the cursor jump around the screen. Don't forget to hide your desktop icons if your viewer will be able to see your desktop between selecting tabs. There'll be a dot in the video icon for the Quick Access menu to show you your recording. If you hit pause, there'll be a pause indicator. Screencast whatever you want to show. Then, when you hit stop record, you'll be given a choice of creating a new document with that recorded clip in it or adding the clip to an existing document. Watch out for this if you have several documents open at once, because it's easy to add it to the wrong document. Once you click on OK, your new clip will be in the Media tab, but not yet in the timeline. Drag it to the timeline, or double-click on it to place it at the playhead. If you add your screencast to the wrong document by mistake, simply open both documents side by side and drag the clip from the media library of the wrong document into the timeline of the correct document, which automatically adds it to the media library of the correct document. Since we don't want our students to see us stop and start record, I'm going to make you learn your first hotkey, which is Shift-Command-2. That's for start record as well as stop record. We also want to set up a hotkey for pause, so open up your Screenflow Preferences menu. In the General tab, you will already see a default hotkey for start and stop, and you can change it if you want. Here you can set up a hotkey for pause. I like to use Shift, Command and the number 1 key. Be careful that you don't use a hotkey that already means something to your Mac. For instance, Shift, Command 3 is already set to take a screen grab of your full screen, so it won't pause your ScreenFlow as well. While we're adjusting settings, remember I told you earlier on I would explain how the size you choose to record at might affect you if you jump in and out of screencasting? Well, in order to get the best quality screencast, you need to set the resolution of the screen you are capturing to the same resolution as you set up to record. To the left of the play controls is an icon that looks similar to a crop button. Click on it to see what resolution you chose when you created the project. I know that the default screen resolution for my Mac is 1920 by 1080, but here I want to screencast in 1280 by 720. I'll close the option box and minimize this ScreenFlow screen. Now, say I want to show you something about these images on my desktop. Go into Mac System Preferences, Displays, and set the screen resolution to 1280 by 720. Immediately my images have moved out of alignment and some of them have doubled up on each other. I can clean them up, and that's great for capturing the optimum screencast quality, but pretty horrible to work in when your Mac's default display settings are 1920 by 1080. So you'll want to go back to your Mac preferences and set your resolution back to its default settings when you want to do any other work. But look, doing that displaced all my images again. If I were going to show you further information about these images, I would have to remember where they were the last time my screen resolution was set to 1280 by 720. That's too much jumping in and out of preferences for me, so I screencast at 1920 by 1080 in the first place. As soon as I've done a little bit of work, I like to save the project. If you see edited up here in the title field, your project has not yet saved. Screenflow is very good at saving as you go along, but on the off chance that it crashes, I like to save frequently. If you do something you're not sure of, save immediately afterwards to make sure it was successful before you continue to do any more work. To show you, I'll copy a clip from another tutorial that I know is risky because it's sped up to over 300%. I'll paste it in my timeline and save it. It didn't save. I should have set the speed back to 100% in the original document before copying it and pasting it to the current document. If I hadn't noticed that and went on to do another couple of hours work, the project still wouldn't save because of the glitch. I would have to step backwards through every edit by undoing and trying to save until I found the problem, and then I would have to redo the couple of hours work. At the end of a day's work, I always make a duplicate and save it in a separate folder. Thereafter, I duplicate and save a copy every time I tweak a lesson. I overwrite the last saved duplicate. Now let's go and explore how the different regions of the user interface work. You can move the boundaries between the main elements of your screen to suit the way you like to work. You can zoom in and out of the preview window using your mouse scroll wheel by hitting Command plus or Command minus, or go to View, Zoom in, out 100%, or Fit to the canvas area. When you zoom into your timeline to get a more precise view of your recording, this does not make the clip longer, it just stretches the timeline. There is a zoom slider in the Media Library tab. Open this crop icon to adjust the size or the color of your canvas. We already looked at size, and to change the color, place the playhead where you can see the background. Click inside the color well and click on any color. Hit Enter to apply the new color. I prefer to stick to the default black, so I'll hit Command Z to undo that. Hit Rewind to go to the beginning of the timeline, fast forward to go to the end of your project, and play or spacebar to play. If you're already at the end of the project, play will start from the beginning. This is the timestamp which tells you how far your playhead is along the timeline. To start in a particular spot on the timeline, grab the playhead at the top and drag it to where you want it, or click inside the time display bar exactly where you want it. You can place your media in the exact moment on the timeline where you want it to start showing in your video. This logo will now appear as soon as the playhead hits it. You can stretch the duration of your media, but of course if it's video and it ends, you can't make it longer. You can, however, place your playhead against it, right-click and add a freeze frame to extend it. Then you can adjust the length of the freeze frame to fit your narration. The timeline is divided into layers with your clips stacked one above the other, although if a clip has video and audio combined, they appear together. You can tell if a clip has audio because it has this waveform in it. The hierarchy in which the levels play is from the top down, so whatever you have in the top layer plays, but whatever is visible or audible below it will also play. Here we have a Firefly video, and you can see the whole thing because there's no media on top of it. If I move this image with a transparent cutout above it, you can see the video through the transparent bit. And if I place the solid image above them, you can only see the solid image, but you can still hear the audio. Some projects require many layers, which takes up a lot of screen space. So you can adjust their depth by clicking on the up-down arrows at the beginning of the timeline. Click on the empty area of the timeline to the left and drag to rearrange your layers. But note that it has moved the entire layer. If you have other clips in this layer that actually need to be on top, you'll have to find them and move them individually. Holding down Shift while you add media will allow you to place it between layers, but as you can see, it's quite hard to make it enter the stack where you want it to. Now, watch what happens when I try to add something right at the top of the stack. I'm trying to drag it up, but Screenflow just won't make a space. I've found the quickest way around this is to place the playhead where I want to add the media, open the Text tab in the Properties menu, and add a text box to force a new top layer. Then add the media, and delete the text box. Here I have my 3 clips, and I've lined them up exactly so that the last image appears to the beat of the music. So I don't want to accidentally move any of the elements out of alignment. I can right-click and choose Group from the drop-down menu. Now, anytime I select or move any of them, it will automatically affect all of them. Let's ungroup them, which makes them individually editable once more. If you need more space in the timeline, you can bring clips that belong together down onto one layer. Right-click and choose Nest Clips. You'll get a note that you can edit nested clips by double-clicking on them. Double-click on the name of your nested clip to rename it. This will give you context in case you have several and you want to go back and edit them. Let's double-click off the name to edit the clip. Move anything around wherever you want to. When you're done, you can click on the Timeline tab if you want to keep your Nested Clips tabs visible in the timeline, or hit the X in the Nested Clips tab to hide the tab. You can activate the tabs anytime by double-clicking on the nested clips. Unnest your clips anytime by right-clicking on them and choosing Unnest Clips from the drop-down menu. What if I want to split and move the top 2 clips using the playhead to slice through them, but I don't want the playhead to slice through the video clip below? I'm going to right-click on it and choose Lock Clip. Now, when I split and move these other 2 clips together, the locked layer is unaffected. But I don't really want to split them, so I'll cancel that by hitting Command Z. Again, unlock your clip by right-clicking on it and choosing Unlock from the drop-down menu. That was quite a cool trick, splitting both clips with one move, so let's see how to do that. I've added a small snippet from a previous video for this demonstration. If you grab your playhead from the bottom, you will move all your clips with the playhead, and if you drag it from the bottom when you're in the middle of a clip, it will cut your clip as well as drag everything on the right. See, my intro video and sound end here. So instead of carefully lining up the rest of the media above it, I can just move the playhead across and then select and delete these unwanted bits. To close up this gap, you could just select a clip and move it back, or you could select the gap between the clips by clicking on it and hit Command Backspace to delete the gap. But that only deletes the gap for that one row, and what if your media to the right of the gap is already carefully synced? If you place your playhead directly before your clips on the right, you can drag everything to the left together. Another way of closing this gap would be to place the playhead directly after the front clip and hit the I key to mark an in point, then place your playhead directly before the rest of your clips and mark an out point by hitting the O key. This is called a ripple delete. You can fine-tune the position of your playhead by hitting the forwards or backwards keys on your keyboard. If you change your mind and want to clear or reset the ripple delete, press Option Z. I'll just add it back again. When you're ready to delete the selected section, hit Command and Backspace. This doesn't only apply to gaps. Watch as I delete the section of my screencast where I added a pause in case I wanted to place a transition here. I've already marked an in point, and now I'm using the right arrow key on my keyboard to find the perfect spot. Then I mark an out point and hit Command Backspace. Anytime you make a mistake, as with most apps, hit Command Z. But in Screenflow, don't do this 20 times in quick succession. Give it a bit of time. There's a lot of processing happening in the background and your Screenflow could crash. You can split the audio from the video if you want to edit them separately. Right-click and choose Detach Audio. You can also split a clip and delete the bit you don't want. But watch what happens if I change my mind. I can just drag that bit back into existence again. So of course I could have just dragged it out of existence in the first place. You will find the way that works best for you. Once you have your media in the timeline, you can also move it around or resize it in the preview window. Select your media and then hold down on any corner or side and drag it in and out to resize. Note that if you have upgraded to Screenflow 6, your aspect ratio is automatically kept. But if you have Screenflow 5 or earlier, hold down Shift to keep your aspect ratio, otherwise your image will distort. When you move your media around the screen, notice how it snaps into position using these yellow guides on the edges of the preview window. Things will also snap to the middle or into alignment with other elements. This is very handy until it starts snapping to something you don't want it to, so you might find you need to disable it, which you do by opening the View drop-down menu and then unchecking Snapping. But snapping also affects your clips in the timeline and is vital to lining up your media. See, instead of snapping to the end of this clip, my selected clip merges with it and I have to guess where the edge is. So always go back and reinstate snapping immediately afterwards. Now that you know how to get started with Screenflow and configure the settings to suit your particular project, record your screen, and how to move things about in the different regions of the user interface, you should be well on your way to producing cool videos. But if you want to learn more about editing via the properties in the sidebar, or how to choose a topic and create your own video tutorials, sign up for my full Screenflow course via the description below. In the meantime, thanks for watching this video.